Well, folks, we are back with our political analyst, Mark Halperin, who's about to launch a new show called Focus Groups today here on Newsmax. Author and Newsmax columnist Tom Basile and former New York Congressman John LeBoutelier. Gentlemen, thank you for coming back. John, I will start with you. Look, there's a big push to stop this idea of mail-in ballots coming from the Republicans. I think the Democrats are doing this because they know they could flood the ballot box this way. They've got a history of faking these elections through mail-in votes. I know it to be true. I've seen it in Texas. John, you.
Well, the only recent case I know of where there was anything fraudulent about mail-in ballots was a House race in North Carolina, where it was a Republican campaign who, in two successive campaigns out in the rural areas, they did finagle by collecting the mail-in ballots themselves instead of by law having them mailed in. I don't think there's an example or a history of great fraud with mail-in ballots. And most states are going to move towards them this year heavily because of the pandemic.
All right. Mark Halperin, your response on all of that. And is this a ruse on behalf of the Democrats to flood the ballot box?
I think the congressman is smart and right to say that there isn't a great deal of history of what is the president and others are expressing concern about. I think Republicans would be politically smart and also be doing the right thing if they recognize this is going to happen. States are going to do this, and they best get on board to not only try to turn out their own vote that way, but to do what's necessary to safeguard the integrity of the election. But just the widespread condemnation of the practice, I think, is a waste of time for the party and for the country.
All right. So, look, President Trump has been very outspoken about this. He's threatened to withhold funding from states that go too far down the road this way. Kamala Harris has come out and well, let's just play her soundbite and then I'll let Tom react to it.
A federal crime to withhold money from states with the purpose of interfering with people's right to vote. So you may want to talk with your lawyer, Bill Barr, about that. And that would be my advice.
All right. Tom, your response. Do you think it's illegal? I personally don't. I think the president is well within his rights to do this.
Well, look, I think we need to look at the bigger picture here, and that is that the Democrats are fundamentally trying to remake the way that we conduct our elections. Look, there is no infrastructure at a state level or at a federal level to handle ballot security in a universal mail-in voting type of system. In fact, the 2005 commission on changes to the way that we vote, which was chaired by Jimmy Carter and former Secretary of State James Baker, found that that mail-in voting was perhaps the most susceptible to potential for fraud. And it is also important to understand that the Democrats do want voter harvesting, which they have in Kamala Harris's California. It's a particularly heinous practice, which would allow you to actually have people who would go in and collect ballots and help people help facilitate the filling out of those ballots. So this is not just about increasing mail-in voting. But it's about fundamentally changing the way that we vote. And there are going to be, especially making that change so quickly in the middle of a presidential election, it's fraught with peril. I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to have the Postal Workers Union guarantee the security of all of our ballots. It's just it's a very dangerous tactic.
All right, I want to do this lightning round. So one name answers for this. John, vice presidential pick for Joe Biden as we move into the election?
Probably the woman you just played, Kamala Harris.
Oh, my Lord. Mark?
Close to a mortal lock, Kamala Harris.
All right. And Tom?
Tammy Duckworth.
That's a name that I have not heard that one thrown around much at all. Look, I say Oprah Winfrey. That's about the only chance he has. One word answers. All right. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program today, and a happy Memorial Day to you all.